Over on Netflix, yet more romantic fare for you, Hannah. We have a 3-part documentary series called Surviving Black Hawk Down. And here's a clip.
It was the most violent thing I've ever witnessed.
Destruction everywhere. I took my camera and I pressed record.
There's no way I'm gonna live through this.
I'm thinking this is it.
Just slowly.
Over the horizon. That Black Hawk was down.
Black Hawk Down, we got a Black Hawk Down. Yes, you may remember the brilliant 2001 Ridley Scott film Black Hawk Down, which starred Josh Hartnett and Ewan McGregor. And it was all about this infamous incident in Mogadishu, Somalia, where, American forces were pinned down, 3 helicopters were shot down, and they were going in to sort of target a warlord, but it turned into kind of like a survival and rescue mission for their own personnel. And this is actually produced by Scott's production company. And this time we're hearing from the people who actually took part. And it does flesh out some quite interesting backstory, because the US US involvement abroad is fraught with danger, as has been proved many, many times over the years. But in this case, they were helping to bring in aid because basically the civil war was kind of causing a famine. But when they started targeting this warlord, you hear from Somalians who had experience of what it was like having the Americans there, American boots on the ground. And one in particular who explains like how initially he was sort of working for the United Nations, but because of the way he was treated by American troops, he turned and kind of supported the warlord against them. So, it's an extraordinary story. And by the end of episode 1, you're just getting to the point where there's all this planning to go in with air cover from helicopters, and then you've got a sort of cortege of military vehicles going in, and they're going to capture this warlord and sort of his lieutenants. That's the idea, and bring them back to the American base. But then it all starts to go horribly wrong. And it's interesting hearing from them. I mean, these guys, young guys who were in the military, and this was their first engagement. Of course, they were really excited, and they didn't think anything could possibly go wrong because, the overwhelming force of the US personnel, and it just very quickly all went horrifically wrong. So, it's a fascinating story. It's a well-made documentary series. What did you think, Hannah?
Well, do you know what? I really enjoy stuff like this, if enjoy is the right word, because, of course, the subject matter is pretty awful. But I enjoy it because I think it just fills part of my lack of knowledge, I guess. And docu-series like this are just so incredibly interesting, and the learnings, and I just think a lot of the stuff is sort of, when we have history lessons, you don't necessarily hear about everything, do you? You hear about the big things, but this is a big thing for a lot of people. And, just seeing how, the US forces were bringing in, aid and kind of how it all started. And I suppose, I mean, as I say, I've only seen the first part of this, but you're engrossed immediately. And I think because, the world is kind of like, I don't know, it feels on a bit of a precipice, doesn't it, at the moment, a bit of a knife edge. When you watch something like this and the horrors of, situations like this, it just makes you, realise how important harmony is, I guess. So I found it incredibly interesting and very well done, which is also quite difficult, isn't it, when there's been a film? It's sometimes quite difficult to go back, but I think the premise of this is slightly different, and the way they've done it is very different.